joined here also by our chief instructor, straight from either Kronos or Starfleet Academy, maybe from both. TeacherKirby, please, how do you do?
Well, I'm doing good. A little bit of both, yeah, definitely. I'm teaching in both places, just anywhere I can be of help. I'm glad to be back.
And our chief intelligence officer, extra special gravel today, Captain SarcasmDetector. Oh no! Oh no!
Oh, that sounds like evil gravel.
It sounds like someone else is going to be QQing in a little bit.
This can't be good. This
Oh,
cannot be
it
good.
does.
Shields up.
Yeah, well, Timber, yes, especially you. I've authorized the Black Ops team to kidnap you and give you a full body wax. I'm tired of pulling your fur out of the plasma manifolds.
It's only because you put hairballs behind your commander's seat.
I know my hairballs, and I know your fur.
I don't even know. I don't want to know. I don't know what furry stuff you two are into. We'll just save that for your other shows out there. Anyway.
Holy crap, it's Spencer.
Oh my. Oh
Dirty
my.
cheese is here.
Hey,
well,
before
we even say what the next generation is going to do right now, take a nice nap.
I did not sleep in. Just a little.
Just whatever.
He didn't sleep in. He just doesn't care about us.
Computer, can we get the Chief Emergency Role-Playing Hologram to assess the situation here with our Chief of Cheesy Tactics?
I don't know. My programming is so slow now. Trying to analyze this is making me sleepy.
I see. So he's sleepy and he's cheesy. Gotcha. Well, before we continue into what we have here for the show, it's going to be very, very intriguing to say the least. We wanted to give a little bit of moment of thoughts, prayers, well-beings, whatever it is that you want to send over to the people of France and to everybody around the world who is dealing with the repercussions of some people who are, quite frankly, cowardly, disastrously, and a little bit sick in the head. So, for all those people out there who had to deal with what happened over the weekend, please hold on to life. Do not let them win by scaring you or terrorizing you. Enjoy life, enjoy living, enjoy being out there with other people. And for as much hate as they want to send your way, as much as they want to scare everybody, do the complete opposite. Befriend everybody. Do not be afraid to live your life, and do not be afraid to make your life and the lives around you better.
Hear, hear.
Keep it positive, because that's the last thing they want.
No prayers. They do not need prayers. That is the last thing they need. No more religious bullshit. It's enough. Enough. No.
That we'll save that for another show on that one there. We'll definitely be dropping it there. But for whatever well wishes that people want to be able to give,
non-denominational well wishes.
Whatever well wishes, good feelings, good vibes, whatever you want to call it, send it out there to the people of France and everybody else who's been affected by this. We love you. Moving on to the show. Salami Inferno is going to do an Ask Me Anything. And he said ask me anything. He means ask me anything. So if you want to ask him what type of underwear he wears whenever he wants to talk to Laughing Trendy, ask him. See what the hell is going on. That's going to be on Thursday, November 19th at 10 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time. Wow, I'm just like talking all over the place. GMT. 10 p.m. GMT. Adjust your clocks accordingly. Set your alarms. Do whatever. Have your bots prepare a message and send it off to him. Ask him anything. Prep it. It's going to be on Reddit. The link's going to be over in the show. And I believe... Go on.
I want to ask if the rumors about boar hunting are true.
Boar hunting?
Yes. Well, we'll leave that for Tomorrow we'll ask him.
All right, we're going to leave that for boar hunting. Captain TimberWolf, now that you actually have something that resembles a human body again, and you don't have one eye coming out of your socket, could you please give us a little bit of the lowdown on what happened with one of these charity giveaways that happened last week?
Well, quite honestly, I think a lot of us got blindsided by it. We did not see anything like this coming. Chase Masterson was representing a charity from the groupies.com website. It was, I believe, her Pop Culture Coalition, if I'm pronouncing the name of that correctly. And it's basically an anti-bullying, anti-cyberbullying, anti-hate charity. The significance for us as Star Trek Online players was that for the amount of money you were donating, you could purchase in a way, starships that you could use in the game. Now, all of them were tier 1s that you were able to freely select. So there was a collection of tier 1 ships from each faction. There was a starship and a shuttle for each faction, along with a second Federation starship. They also had a mirror runabout, which was exclusive only to this event. Now, what made it so popular so very quickly, if you went ahead and you donated $10, because even if you selected all 8 starships, it was only $8 you were spending and donating to this charity. If you went ahead and pitched in an extra $2 minimum, they were also giving out a Tier 6 ship bundle, where you were getting a Klingon Tier 6 destroyer, the Mata. You were getting a light battlecruiser Warbird for the Romulans, and you were getting an exclusive Mirror Guardian, which the main difference was instead of intel seating, it was command. And they were giving you this bundle for simply donating $10 on top of any other starships you were basically getting for $1 a piece. And their initial goal was $25,000. If we reached that, they would give everyone that donated Mirror Admiral Lita as a photonic bridge officer, which ended up being a fantastic ground bridge officer. As I look at our final total, however, the initiative that she had with the Star Trek Online community ended up raising $54,099. That is how much was raised.
That's huge.
That is a tremendous amount of money, and they sold how many bundles? Well, not sold, but gave away. But you have to understand that's a lot of little tier 1 starships and shuttles, a lot of tier 6 bundles given away. If you look at the price of what they are in game versus what they were being offered for in this charity event, it was an absolute steal. And you were also donating for charity, and the charity was a very good cause. It was something that needed to be promoted anyway. So it was pretty much a win-win for any player that got into it. I know for myself. I bought 4 of the starships that I wanted. I went ahead and I donated $15 so I get the bundle. I went back and I selected everything that was available, donated another $10, and I gave away a full set of these ships to 2 separate people. I split it up in half, and I gave it to 2 people in Facebook, on our Facebook group. And I know other people did as well, because there were some people that could not get in time to get the Tier 6 bundle, or to get certain starships from this. Hold on. But all in all, this was a fantastic event. I think the initial Tier 6 bundle was gone in less than 7 hours. As far as what they were offering 2,500 bundles. And the total is from about 2 or 3 days of fundraising. And I know from the first day alone, we saw Chase Masterson getting on Twitter, and she was just elated at how much we as a community got together and donated for this charity, and made for sure that this was a success for what she was running. It was a really nice thing to see that the community is not dead, in the sense that they're willing to jump up and donate to charity, even, it didn't matter what was being given to them. It was a simple fact they were willing to donate that much for charity. It was a very nice gesture on behalf of the community.
Now, did anybody else have any issues aside from Chris beforehand, who went in, was in there before the time period expired, so you could get the mirror leader, the ship bundles, etc., and did not get what they were expecting? If you didn't, for whatever reason, just post it up in the comment section over on the show. We'll see if we could do something, get some eyes on it from Cryptic somewhere, and then see if we could take care of it on a case-by-case situation. Granted, we can't guarantee anything other than we'll try to get some attention to it. It'll probably help if everybody was organized and they have everything in order as far as you can show that you had paid or it was a request for payment at the time period before the bonus expired, and that way you should be eligible to get the ship bundle, Merlita, etc. So if you put in a ticket or you have some issues with it and you can prove that you should have gotten something, just leave a comment with the details, and once we get enough of them together, we'll try and see if we can get somebody from Cryptic to take a look at it. Anybody else have any other comments on what this charity event was, how people received it, etc.? Because more than double, it is pretty damn phenomenal. It just showed you that people weren't in there just for the ships.
I gotta give my hats off to the people who were handling all the tickets. I know there was a lot of chaos with delays at payments and that, and I'd found out that there was actually only 6 moderators who were handling all the tickets. So hats off to them. I know that must have been a crazy busy day for them. But back to the charity thing, I thought this was something that we touched on yesterday that Zeronius had kind of mentioned during the 24-hour tabletop thing that was going on, and lo and behold, next day it's out. I'm like, holy crap, that's awesome. I really hope to see more of these. I think it's a great opportunity for people to get ships for really cheap, and as long as it's all going towards like a great cause, like whether it be sick kids or bullying, or even for Aaron Eisenberg, and something that kind of touches close to home for me is organ donor awareness kind of stuff. I think it'll always come back with strong results and help out any organization.
Indeed, and the prizes, the giveaways were actually really fairly good. I mean, the tier 1 ships, there was the NX, which was previously given away, but there was also the Tavaro and the Burrell, I believe, the Klingon ship.
Yes.
Okay, and that is one ship that every Klingon should have just because of that console. It's probably one of the best consoles in the game, the enhanced induction coil. And the tier 6 ships are really nice. Now remember, these ships are worth what, 3,000 Zen each, and they came from the Delta Operations Pack, which was quite expensive at that point. So we had the Matha, the tier 6 Raptor, the AOL light battlecruiser, and the Guardian, the Mirrored Guardian, which is almost an exact copy of the Prime Guardian. It even has the same console and the same trait, just has the profession switched from Intel over to Command, which Odin would probably like for the concentrate fire. But other than that, it also has the mirror skin, which looks really nice.
Yeah,
and once you have the...
I think the other difference is that you cannot get the fleet version, or it does not unlock the fleet version for you.
There is no fleet version of that ship, basically what it is. You can get a fleet version of the Prime and put the mirror skin on it, but you'll still have the you'll still have the intel seat on there, which isn't too bad. I mean, I personally prefer intel to command, but there are some people who do like command. I mean, it's a bit better for tanking, healing, and torpedoes, I guess, with some of the abilities. Whereas
Yeah.
intel is a little bit better for debuffing, crowd control, and damage.
Yeah, I see Intel more of a straight out damage dealing, full offensive with some debuff. And then you have Command, which is more debuff, some healing, and a lot of one torp heavy power.
It was also a great opportunity because there was, 2 shuttles on there? And this is something we actually forgot to touch on yesterday, is the introduction of shuttles into the Admiralty system. So this was actually a really good opportunity for you to get really cheap ships at like $1 a piece and more Admiralty cards for you, and add to your shuttle roster for your Admiralty system.
There's one thing I did notice though: the mirror Yellowstone. The normal Yellowstone has a special warp core, if I remember correctly, that does the eject warp plasma type thing.
It's a mirror runabout, not Yellowstone.
Oh, is
Sorry.
it just a runabout? Okay.
Yeah, runabout.
Okay, close. No cigar.
Isn't there some other event though that's going on right now with Crucial, and they're having some sort of giveaway as well?
I remember seeing something about that on the Reddit forums. I didn't really look into it too much, but apparently it's for like XP bonus. I'm not exactly sure what is required, but yeah, there's something going on with it's either Crucial or Corsair.
It's Corsair.
Oh,
Corsair.
not Crucial.
But
Sorry,
I
Corsair.
do wanna point something out that I found out about it. If you've ever claimed a skill promotion in the past, it's just the 1,000 skill bonus, so it's no big deal if you missed it. But if you ever claimed it in the past, even though you will get a unique code from this promotion like I did, you will not be able to claim a second 1,000 point bonus. That happened to me. So just heads up, it's not a big deal in the first place, and you can only do it once.
Public service announcement brought to you by our Chief Ironic Medic. So, if you claimed it before and you're trying to claim it here from this
But
promo,
I will try to find the link.
don't bother. You won't get
and
it.
throw it out.
So if
to the
Cryptic
show
wants to fix that
viewers.
somewhere down the pipeline, by all means, go for it. Hang on to your codes. Who knows what might happen later on.
Sorry, what were you
Moving
saying,
right
McKay?
along. We have some good news for Mac users, don't we?
Oh God, yeah.
Yes, we do. Yes.
I do. There was a so shortly after the show, after I had myself and a couple others had done a little bit of a rant about paying attention to Mac users. There was a I gotta stop flying here. I'm doing mirror incursion as well. There was an update or a post from one of the ARC administrators saying, one quick update for everyone. We have found a way to integrate all the previous promotions that Mac players were not able to redeem during the downtime, and that they should have a special promotion pack in the C store. This person said that once they were back on the computer, they would edit the post with more details, which never happened. But there was a user on Reddit by the name of Brictus who said he got it, and he said that it was the ships, so the free ships that they were giving away, plus 7 multi-dimensional transporters. And it also included the Enterprise bundle, which was the ship and uniforms. So I think there's still some Mac users that are waiting for that. But if you're a Mac user, take a look under your C-Store promotions and see if you got something there. And if not, hit up the STO forums or something and yeah, that was pretty much it for that one. What do you guys? I'm very pleased that they did this for the Mac users. That's
Yes, so am I. Very pleased.
Did we go on a rant last week? I couldn't tell.
I might have gotten a little bit upset to the point where it might have sounded like I might have gone on a garbage can tipping tirade, but yeah.
Oh boy, if you were tipping garbage cans, it must have been serious. But yeah, no, it's a good thing, but it's still kind of a band-aid solution. It didn't fix the problem. It just took care of one of the issues we had with it, which is that the Mac users were locked out of all these promotions. The main issue is that they're not able to log into the game. Now I'm looking at the chat and there's a couple of people here. USS Freelancer says he's still logged into his Mac client 2 hours and no forced offline. So maybe they've been fixing some stuff in the background.
Yeah, maybe. Well, and this comes down to what we were talking about last week about communication. Like, they know they were giving out these, or that they figured out a way to give these users back what they missed, but there was no real follow-up on what exactly, like no official thing of what people can expect to find and where to find it. Apparently there is still some Mac users with issues. I haven't really seen any additional information about that, so I think the communications could still be, or should still be stepped up a bit, but giving the pack is definitely a good step forward.
So they're saying there's been no patch, so the issue is still ongoing, unfortunately. So hopefully that'll get resolved sooner rather than later. And yes, I remember when Delta Rising came out, Mac clients were broken for a long, long time without any acknowledgement. So let's get more communication, which is something we've talked about on the show quite a bit. The more you communicate, the better the community will view situations like this. Okay, well that's good to know, Zoe. She just said on the chat that it's fixed for him now. So hopefully that is something that will keep going forward.
Awesome.
Jumping on to the next point we're going to be talking about, the winter event and the retiring of the glossy photos, which we should have expected. Now it's pretty much the same deal as what happened during the summer event. So, your thoughts, you guys? What are your opinions about this?
If nobody minds me starting first, I don't really have too much of an issue with it. I kind of saw this coming because they did it with Ryza, so I don't have really any holo. Like, I think I might have like 30 of the Q photos left over. So it doesn't really bother me too much. So I'm just looking forward to the winter event in general. Apparently there's supposed to be some new stuff added to it. The winter event in the 4 years that I've played STO has been kind of something that helps me get in the Christmas mood. I really love Christmas, so I'm looking forward to the event.
So what we're going to see...
Yeah, I can't say...
Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry,
go ahead.
I can't say I'm surprised either by them changing the currency. I mean, like both you and Alan said, they did it with the summer event. We kind of expected it.
I think they even said
I think
so.
for me, the one thing I don't like is that they are making it, going forward, impossible to get the previous ships, which I don't necessarily agree with. I didn't agree with it with the summer event, and I just think they should have some way to have those available for new players that come into the game later on.
I see both sides
think
of
it's
it,
yeah.
But I understand. Like I understand Cryptic is striving to make the event chips scarce. In other words, if you weren't playing the game and logged in at that time, that you don't get the reward for not being playing and logged in at that time. But I understand that the player outcry at the same time. It's nice to have some of these event chips, and they're not useless in builds. They're actually pretty decent. The Rycian Corvette is hysterical as a speed tank, for example. And so from a pure variety and play point of view, it would be good for Cryptic to offer these ships to players, just so they have a wider variety of ships to build with. That's what everyone wants.
Yeah, exactly. And the Admiralty cards too now with the new Admiralty system. Basically, if you don't get it during the winter event, you're not going to get it. So,
yep.
Yeah.
And so I see both sides of it, but I think I empathize more with the players. Cryptic, I see your side, but it would be nice, guys.
Well,
Yeah.
pretty much all other games do have systems in place, or they leave systems in place for new players to pick up older gear, stuff that's been made obsolete or is no longer current. They still can get them for transmogrification reasons or collecting reasons or whatever it is. So really making these things scarce, I don't believe is that good of a reason. I mean, it's a reason, but as a player, I don't think it's a good reason.
Go ahead.
I was just saying they should. I mean, even if it's not possible to get them through the event itself, via the daily projects or the daily race, whatever it is, then there should be something else in the event that lets you purchase it, because there's several currencies that are going through the winter event and the summer event, right? Not only do you have the daily ones, but you have the secondary currency that you use to pick up all the different things in there. So they can put the ships in there as purchasable items. I've developed Odin's stutter here. Purchasable items using that secondary currency, the same currency used to buy those trinkets and knickknacks and devices and weapons and whatnot.
Well, here's an idea. And Kirby, by the way, this is just how the show works. We talk over each other all the time.
No, I know.
If you want to go ahead. But I had a real quick point to make.
Okay, go ahead and make your point.
So, and this is not my idea. I read this on the subreddit, but I do want to point it out because I thought it was a good idea. It was in one of the comment threads. I wish that I could attribute the author, and I'm very sorry that I can't, but I'm just saying, not my idea. Someone had said that it would be nice if, for example, players that didn't have an original chance to acquire these ships and other items like the Shard of Possibilities, for example, and other other items that have passed, give the new players a chance to acquire them, but make them aesthetically different or differ them in some other way. So the older players, when they came out, still have a little bit of the bragging rights. They can say, hey, I was around when, and I got this. And the new players still have a functional equivalent.
Yeah, I could see that. Shard Possibilities, they do allow episode replays every so often. Usually I think it's once a year. I don't remember the exact timing. It's been a while since they did it. But as far as the ships, like for the summer and the winter events, I could see, since they have the option of purchasing the ship buying currency with Lobby during the event, why not put the ships available in the Lobby store when the event is over? Or when the next event starts the next year.
Yeah, that sounds win-win.
So that you can get the previous ships still and make them bind a character on pickup so that you can't sell them on the exchange. I'd be okay with that. I'd be perfectly fine with that.
And
I'd just like to see
money.
a way for them to be, I'd just like to see a way for them to be available to players later on.
And doesn't the Sarthine have a restriction on the plush Breck Hanger Pets where you have to own that ship?
Yeah, I think so.
So if you started last year and got the Sarthine, you have no way to get those pets now. That sucks.
I have to think they'll reconsider. Like I said, one thing that's been nice is recently we've been seeing reasonable decisions out of Cryptic and things like that, kind of as an established thing. So I'm positively hoping.
Yes.
I'm positively hoping that they will, that this isn't like their final decision. They always, it's always subject to change, and I think we should give them credit for changing in the past when they might not have otherwise, and let's see if they do this time.
Well, it's a good point that you brought this up because it used to be that, you would get that one ship in that event that year and that was it. That was how it was before. And then they changed their minds and they allowed us to have our alts. Once you unlocked it on one tune, all your alts were able to unlock it as well. That was a nice, interesting change. And then they had it so that you could slot the previous ships as well, and that was a nice change.
So it's not a complete 180, but it's a meeting us in the middle, and that's reasonable.
No, they were heading in that direction already, and I think what's got some people incensed is that they did a 180. They said, well, nope, you can't have the previous ships anymore, when previously they were opening up
Yeah, that was a closure. You're right.
They opened it up and they were letting us buy them on the alts and redoing the projects, previous older projects, and suddenly they decided, nope, not doing that anymore. So it's a little bit of a flip-flop back and forth, and I'm hoping that they will listen to the players, the community, and open it up. I know Salami is really good at listening to the community and giving the players what they would like or what they want within reason, of course. Now that's a good point there. He's doing the AMA tomorrow. We can probably pester him about that.
Yeah, we could.
Just to go back, speak specifically about these the Glossy photos. What's going to happen is that they're opening up the same buyback store that we had during the summer event, and from what I could tell, it's pretty much the same items that were available during the summer event are available now. So you can get those little...
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
So you can get the ship emotes, which are slightly interesting. I do have them myself, and I never see anyone using them. So they're kind of useless. But there is upgrade tokens that don't have a rarity upgrade in them. They're just tech points, unfortunately. There's spec points of different levels. I believe there's also XP boosts, elite R&D boxes, or elite what are they called?
The Q boxes.
The component boxes, yeah.
Yeah, they're basically the same boxes you get from the Qs, except you can select which one you would like.
Exactly. What else am I missing that they sell in there?
Specialization points?
We mentioned that.
Did I? Oh, okay.
I'm trying to remember if the specialization points were considered bonus points or if they were just the same normal points. The difference being is if you're at max spec points, the bonus points will still accrue. So, for example, the max right now you can have is 100 points, but if you get a bonus spec point, you'll be up to 101, etc. Whereas if you get a normal spec point, it gets converted to dilithium. So one spec point would equal 2,880 dilithium approximately. I don't exactly remember if they were bonus or not. Someone would probably have to test that out. I'm sorry, Spencer, you were about to say something? Please go ahead.
I was just going to ask you what you would purchase out of the store. Myself, I think I would just go for the emote boxes, and then can't really think of anything else. Probably just some elite boxes.
I mean, emotes are fun. I'm used to them from Hawken. It would be nice to have some more variety.
Like I said,
Yeah, I'm not quite as elite as Spencer. I don't have all my spec trees filled out, so I'd probably go for the spec points.
like I said, I don't see a lot of people using them that much, but I do like.
No, but that's because of limited availability right now.
Yes, indeed. And I believe they said they were going to put them in the GPL store at some
Yep.
point. I don't think that ever
Real
materialized.
soon now. Sometime back.
Although some of them are pretty useful. I like the thumbs down one. That one is
Yes, I got that one, and I love that.
that's really really useful, especially in pugs. Especially if the type of pugs they don't read chat, which is pretty common. I actually believe a lot of pugs can't actually read in the first place, so you can basically
Let me give you some visual feedback.
Yeah, exactly. Let me give you some visual feedback on what you're doing. Thumbs down. And works especially if they put you on ignore, because they can't ignore that little thumbs down. So you can just sit there and spam them. Be nice to have a middle finger as well, but that might be asking for too much.
That would be.
That's not very 2410, Cam.
There's that evil laugh again.
Indeed.
One second, Cam. 1 second. I noticed.
I see nothing. I know nothing.
I know, right?
My
You can hear
immersion.
it in his voice.
So, Alan,
Oh,
how much does the Ox to Defiant help your immersion?
it helps it so much.
And I hear that if it had a battle cloak, it would help your immersion more.
Yes,
Oh,
we're not talking about that piece of
There's no Federation ship that's been in more battles than the Defiant. It should have a battle cloak.
Yes, no, we're not talking about the Defiant specifically. We're going to be talking about the new featured episode, Stormbound, which will be starting tomorrow. I'm guessing we're going to get a new set of items to look at.
That's what I hear.
Probably going to be ground items. That seems to be the pattern. The one featured episode will have a bunch of space. The next one will have ground. So
I think
it
we
should
can
be
probably expect phasers and disruptors.
probably.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say it's another space set.
Oh, interesting. Why do you think that?
I just think there's another one coming. I have
Actually,
a weird
know what's
hunch. I have a weird
I know-
hunch.
I know what's coming. Traits.
Oh, traits are coming.
Yes.
Because of the revamp.
Yes.
The first thing they're going to do in the new FE is give us traits. That would be my guess.
Interesting.
Oh, good point.
If they
And
do
speaking
that, that'd be
about
crazy.
traits, Something we've been waiting for ages and ages and ages.
I'm so happy.
Yeah, they're
I
finally
am so happy too.
Oh, I am so happy, but not for the reasons you guys are.
I'm so happy. Please don't be broke.
I'm just liking this trait market. When I heard them talk about this over the summer earlier this year, I stocked up a ton, and well, now everyone's buying them up.
So what they're doing is they're going to be splitting the ground and space personal traits. And now, finally, whenever you're switching between ground and space maps, you don't have to sit there and spend 10 minutes swapping your traits around. You can set your ground traits, you can set your space traits, and you're done. I think the only thing that you want to or have to change would be the active reputation traits,
And
which
your
isn't
spec,
that big.
if
And-
applicable, but
Yeah, pretty much. The spec is pretty fast. I mean, there's only one ground spec, which is the commando, and it's the secondary. So
Yeah.
yeah, but instead of spending like
it'd still be nice if it was in a loadout. But we can hope.
the interesting thing here is when you're doing actual missions, not the queues themselves, but missions. A lot of the times you'll spend a little bit of time in space, a little bit of time on the ground, and then back to space, or vice versa. So you're all set for those now. You don't have to build a hybrid build for missions or whatever it is. What they're doing also is they're adding a whole bunch of new traits.
Heavily
And-
balanced towards space. 14 new space foreground, I believe.
Yes, indeed. Oh, I think we can probably click this link here.
Yeah, that'll take you to it.
Did that work?
Yep, zoom in.
Trade system improvement. Yes, it did. So we're looking here at okay. Should be a little bit better there. So space traits. The list of them here: imposing presence, threat gen, and outgoing hull heal. Very interesting for the tanks out there. Very, very nice. Innocence. Threat gen plus crit severity. Now, this one unfortunately got nerfed pretty heavily in the recent Tribble patch. It was a plus 7.5% crit severity bonus, and it got reduced to plus 1.5, which basically means this is garbage.
Yeah, that's completely.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just going to highlight it here. We're talking about severity. The devs out there, if you're listening to the show, if you're watching,
Yeah,
severity,
not crit hit.
not chance, severity. 1.5% crit severity is garbage.
7.5 is arguably low.
That's yeah, exactly.
I wouldn't think
1.5
that.
is nothing.
I wouldn't slot it on a DPS build myself. I could think of a lot of other traits I'd choose.
I don't get out of bed for anything less than 20% crit chance.
Damn, Melon, you're a diva.
I
Freaking
know,
diva.
right?
But this might go over better if you swap this around to crit chance. 1.5% crit chance. That's kind of reasonable.
Yep, closer to a crit H mod on each weapon.
Pretty much. Now remember, there's a 1 to 10 rule with crit chance to crit severity. 1% crit chance equals 10% crit severity.
I won't get
roughly
into it with you here, but that's mostly deprecated now.
This
There
is just
are
it gets really complicated. This is just the general.
Really complicated. Okay, fair enough. As stated as a really kind of relaxed, vague rule-ish. Yeah.
Rule of thumb, basically, just to equivocate. Basically, it does get really, really complicated.
It's
the
good
math
enough
behind
for
it.
basic theory crafting. Really kind of
Yes,
relaxed,
exactly.
vague
So
rule-ish. Yeah.
putting this at thumb, basically, plus 1.5% crit chance instead of severity, it does get way to really complicated the math behind it and not making it
kind of
absolute
relaxed fade.
rubbish.
Yeah, I could see
So
it being used at more.
putting this
Rule
at
of
thumb,
thumb,
basically, just 1.5%
but
crit chance instead of
there are
severity,
folks
it
building
does
budget
get way to really complicated the math behind it and not making it absolute rubbish.
in that context.
So putting this at thumb, basically, just 1.5% crit chance instead of severity, it does get to really complicated the math behind it and not making it absolute rubbish. Like the next one. So putting this at all damage for each member of the team, absolutely fantastic. Just have to find out what the actual damage amount is.
Right.
And if it's a
category it applies in.
If I recall from the triple testing, all of them are Cat 2.
It's by the wording, it sounds Cat 2.
Yes. Usually all damage, when they say all damage, usually, most of the time, it's a Cat 2, but not all the time. So we'll just assume that. But in regards to science abilities, especially stuff like tractor beams and grab wells and stuff like that, it'll do fantastic for those. I believe that Chemosite is still bugged and doesn't benefit from any Cat 2 bonus. So hopefully that'll get fixed at some point. Some defensive traits here. Particle, molecular, impact defense give you the different types: anti-proton, disruptor, physical, kinetic, etc. There is cannon weapon damage, beam weapon damage, projectile weapon damage, which I can feel Odin perking up for that. Shield
it's probably
frequency.
not much though, I would guess. And do you know what the actual percentage amount is?
I personally do not know. I didn't actually log on to Dribble to test these out. I've been busy the
Nor
past few
have I.
days.
Nor have I. I would just be curious myself if anyone does know.
Spencer, do you happen to know, or anyone in the chat?
All I know is that all of them were Cat 2.
From what I understand, the beam weapon damage was 5%. That's from what I've seen, which could be carried out through the rest of them.
Yeah, and in a very crowded category already, it's not going to be. It really depends on what other stuff you have, but it's not horrible.
Interesting. Of course, there's the healing ones, more tanky survivabilities, outgoing shield heals, maxed hull hit points. I'm guessing you're gonna like the shield heal one.
I would, except for the damn meta being, one thing I'm not gonna rant, I'm gonna mini rant, but the NPC shield drain from Borg still need to be balanced. It's just not balanced, and it really makes shield healing almost irrelevant. You're basically trying to just keep your hull up at that point because your shields are going to be gone no matter what.
Yeah, but the game isn't all about the Borg SDFs. There are other
true.
SDFs out there.
Totally true. And in that respect, I'm a little bit more useful. But since the Borg is, a big part of the testing meta, especially when you get to ISA, and Hive is also a good testing platform for a healer. I'm only kind of thinking in that context right now. And with that, it's kind of hard to build a good healer when the Borg are concerned because the drain is just unbalanced.
Indeed. Here's an interesting one. Operative. Now this used to be.
Yeah, we noticed that.
Basically, this used to be a Romulan only trait, and
it's not going to be superior.
Good.
It's going to be less in value, but it still could be something nice to throw in there if you don't have anything else.
Oh,
yeah, the numbers that we saw on Tribble had it lower than the character trait or the character or species specific trait for the Romulans. I think it's even a little. I think it's even a little lower than that. Trying to remember. I think it's like. I think it's maybe 2.5% crit severity.
It's
okay.
1% crit chance and 2% severity, so it's a basic.
Again,
it's very low.
Super useful, but the name is attractive, and people may get fooled. So.
Hmm. With those numbers, never mind. Let's just skip over to the next one. Thrill Seeker
Just
plus
broke
flight.
Cam's heart.
Indeed. Flight speed and full impulse speed. I know this is going to make some people happy, and this will
There's
probably...
not that many things that boost full impulse speed.
There aren't, actually. That's very true. There's only a couple of things I can think of off the top of my head, and they're usually just tied into the impulse engines. Some engines have a little bit extra, but that's about it. There's a trait or two, and
I want to say advanced engines also applies to full impulse speed, but I could be wrong.
it does. It's covers everything. That's that trait. There's this extra trait in there. There's also the
That could be interesting for people that are speed tanking or otherwise a little bit slower than the rest of the pack.
well, it'll help the slower ships for sure.
Which is always me.
Yeah, definitely.
But I foresee a whole rash of record attempts again, because we do know of a few people who like to just go all out.
Love the stack speed. I've seen like Corvettes spinning in circles.
Indeed, this might actually help the Vonth out just a little bit. Probably not by much. That thing needs a lot more. Anyone got any ideas of the numbers for Thrill Seeker?
15%.
15%.
That could be useful.
You're saying percent, not an actual number increase.
Yes.
15% speed increase.
What about the full impulse?
It's the same.
15%. That is actually really, really good, because full impulse usually the bonuses.
Now, before we go to the ground traits too, I heard some good reasoning to use the plus beam damage trait over beam barrage in really fast runs.
Because beam barrage takes a while to build up.
Yep.
Interesting, and that's
interesting.
And that's about the same amount of damage, is it not? Is it like 6%?
It's 5% versus 6%. Yep.
Okay.
Chief engineer was going over the numbers on it on TeamSpeak last night. So
interesting. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, beam barrage takes a little bit of time. Not that much time, but a little bit of time to actually build up. You have to be firing your beams and stuff. It used to be broken, and you can never get more than one stack.
Stacks of it no matter what.
So this should be interesting.
You simply didn't have the combat time to do it.
Yeah. Well, with the beam weapons, I mean, what choices do you have? You had
FAW and BO.
Yeah, pretty much, and well, target subsystems, but that was garbage.
But what's target subsystems?
Garbage. It's one thing they should probably look into and update and make it a little bit better. I mean, PvP is dead.
That could be used as something to balance, absolutely.
Definitely. That would actually, if they do buff those up or rebalance the subsystem targeting, I believe that will give a nice boost to science ships and some of the carriers. Not that carriers much need a boost, but
that could have an absolutely positive effect on the meta. You hear that, Cryptic?
And moving on to the ground traits, so pistol, rifle, assault weapon, damage boost, so probably the same.
5%.
Ground bonuses are a little bit different from space, so they might actually be a little bit more.
Yeah. True. So we'll see. True to say.
And kit module recharge time. Very interesting.
Because there's overcharged.
Which is seemingly they got a couple of abilities got nerfed during one of the last patches, if I remember correctly.
Was OC one of them? If it was, I didn't catch it in the patch notes.
It was, I think it was photonic overcharge and trajectory bending. You can't run them constantly now. They have a
TB is now on a hard cap of 20-second cooldown. You can't cool it down below that, which is not. That's a fairly non-dickish way to solve it. I thought it. I didn't think that it was bad. I wasn't pissed, and I used TV, so that wasn't too bad. 20 seconds now.
So let's jump back over here. Did that go over? Yes, it did. So a couple other things resolved. Resolved an issue which was occasionally causing a crash when clicking buttons. Vague and hilarious at the same time.
I hate buttons.
Pressing a button, yeah. Causing a crash, yeah.
Was the button labeled
I know,
cause
right?
crash? Because if it was labeled cause crash and you pressed it, then you should probably understand that you deserve what you got.
Most
But
probably,
then again, people, so
yeah. Most probably it was not labeled any key.
to start, press any key.
I see what you did there.
Ooh.
That's terrible.
Other things that they've done, they fixed the dry docks slots with gold membership, which was broken. The gold members and lifers.
I think it was just gold and not lifers, because I got all 10.
Right.
But the gold, if you're gold and not lifer, I think you only got 5, and so you'll get the additional 5 upon the patch tomorrow.
Yeah.
Here's an interesting one. Resolved an issue which was causing players not to be able to make liberated Borg, Romulan, or Talaxian captains.
All right, the species.
Very important one here. Mako helmets can now be equipped on female captains. Woohoo!
We need to have equal distribution of armor between the sexes.
Yeah, indeed. Interesting. Badlands Battle Zones. The correct rewards are now given out when placed in first through third place where applicable. This is great because I have noticed that even with the last fix that they did, the worst case pretty wonky. So we're gonna have to test that out.
Yep, I'm very curious to see what happens.
Kitamore Vortex Advanced has been updated, so normal and advanced versions have the same objectives.
This is disappointing to hear.
Very disappointing.
Like, pugs.
Mhm.
It was so fun watching the pugs like play soccer or football, whatever, and try to push the probes into the thing with tractor beam repulsors. That was so fun to watch. They're taking that away.
And then we give them a thumbs down in space.
Well,
Yes.
you know what? You're gonna have to deal with it.
Thumbs down in space.
I
my
think
opinion.
we would be. Well, I think we'd be a little more willing to deal with it if we had elite versions of these queues. You know, the board queues in space, except for Hive, of course, there is no elite. So now we're left with there is no hard mode for the more advanced players.
Yeah, because there's a lot of players that don't. I mean, I love Hive. I freaking love Hive. But there are a lot of players that do not like Hive and do not find it fun. So it'd be nice to give those players something else to play that's difficult. And not, again, not just adding HP sponges. But
the whole
real tactic changes.
The whole thing is they've taken away the advanced conditions don't fail, so you're going to see the same thing that you saw when it comes to MIA now. You're going to see people, oh, well, I'm just going to go sit off in a corner, and I'm going to let the people that really want to play this do this, and they're going to just sit there and collect marks. You're just going to see the AFKers on yet another map because it's allowed to be on advanced now, and for me, it's disappointing.
There could be a better way to solve that scenario as well, like a different set of AFK traps or conditions, and again, that's something they could add.
What I think really is if they would come out and say, okay, this is our intentions. We're trying to fix it this way to deal with these type of situations.
Good feedback.
And then get feedback from us. Because a lot of us are saying, well, we have friends who play this very casually. They want to relax and enjoy it and go through a 20, 30, sometimes even a 40-minute STF. They'd want to do that intentionally, just to get that immersion effect for them. And there's some of us who want to blaze through it because we can, and we have the firepower to do it and be done with it as quick as possible, because that's the only thing that's challenging for us in the game.
And it's
Yeah,
fun
but
to be
we
playing as Q, you know.
we gotta
Something
remember
like that.
our perspective as non-casual players. You know, I'm not trying to say we're the best. It's more like we have different things that we find fun than someone that might only play a couple of hours a week. That's just the truth of it. We are going to find different things fun. It's not so much that we're giving the casual players an easy challenge, but something that's accomplishable with the scope of how they play the game. The gear they have, the skills they have in the game itself, the traits and the other things they've acquired. You don't want to make things way too difficult for casual to play it. They're going to miss out on the beautiful visuals that the artists work so hard on, and all of that stuff if you gate it out.
At the same time, though, if you just make it so easy mode to the point that people looking and say, well, there's no urgency, there's no real penalty for not doing well, so I guess lackadaisically move along and collect this reward here and, go on and be done with it. Okay, we failed. Who cares? The lack of this type of, well, if you fail, you're not going to get X more reward for this, is just gonna let people just kind of sink down into this sort of like ho-hum mediocrity. And
yeah, the last like 2-3 pugs I've done have pretty much ended just like that.
Exactly, and it's just, this is only going to encourage this type of thing. From our perspective, it's only going to encourage this type of like, well, why even try? We'll just kind of halfway do this thing here, halfway get through this, and halfway do this. Okay, and we get the almost the same amount of the reward as if we tried hard and try to do it and then move on. It's I don't know. I think they missed the mark with what the overall picture is.
It's a tough situation to balance, and I wish them luck in finding a solution that works better for everybody. But the situation as it is now could be better.
Solution is very simple. A lot of these players have to put their big boy pants on and just deal with it. Advanced queues should be for advanced players.
Yep, but since we don't gate them right now, and this is something that I've thought for a long time, I think you should have to play 10 normals and succeed at least some of the conditions to play advanced.
70% pass rate on the conditions, on one optional condition to be able to move to advanced.
Yeah, for 10, gate it behind 10 normals, and that ensures that the players know the mechanics of the STF before they just click the queue and go, oh, this looks good, I'll click this. And again, I'm not criticizing the casual players, because they literally don't know better in some cases. Like, these guys don't know that they're letting down the team, but they're letting down the team.
There's another thing that I've noticed recently, and this is something that I've been dreading for a while since they actually started nerfing the advanced queues, where eventually the advanced queues are going to get so easy, people are going to move on to the elite queues and say, you know what, why don't we nerf these as well? Let's, we get all that we want. We're entitled to the stuff from the advanced queues. We should be entitled to the rewards from the elite queues. And I've noticed some rumblings, some grumblings here and there from certain media sources. People are complaining about the elite queues being too hard and it being so difficult for them to get the salvage tech in some of the elite queues.
And that's why so many of them are gone, because they can't figure out how to balance them in such a way that will silence these people.
Can you imagine if this general population that we're talking about was around for when the ground and space was one STF?
Yep.
Oh my
Or
Lord.
how about...
Well, they were, though. Some of the people here were, though, and they were
they
thought this is very difficult content.
What about Terradome?
I miss Terradome.
I miss Terradome.
I want it back.
It
and
was
no
bugged,
scenario.
and some of the console interaction stuff was bugged. I remember that. But that, again, I don't see a point of knowledge, but if that's all that was wrong, why not bring it back?
That's a good point.
maybe we should ask in the AMA tomorrow.
Salami, yeah. Where's our Pterodome?
And or no win.
Yeah, I think we need a 4th difficulty level. So we have the normal and the advanced, which is really
We have
just
normal, advanced, elite.
Well, a lot of the Borg STFs we don't have elite on right now. I wish
Well,
they'd
yeah,
bring
but it
elite
is a difficulty
back.
level, let's say. Let's say it's an established difficulty level, Alan.
I would say make all of the elite queues the same difficulty first.
there's that. But what I mean to say is we have the normal, we have the advanced, which is just normal plus.
HP
It-
sponge normal.
Yeah, it's basically normal with a little bit
That's
extra.
the difficulty level, basically, is HP sponge plus.
And we have the elites. A lot of the queues don't actually have elites, but introduce a new difficulty level between the normal plus advanced and the elite. We'll call it, I don't know, real advanced. I don't know. We'll figure out a name for it or something, and make it the
Advanced to
same.
next generation.
I like that one. And make it the same difficulty as the advanced queues were when they were released with Delta Rising.
Another fun thing is you press a button called Phaser Roulette, and you don't know what STF you're gonna do or what level, and
That would
you
be
gotta do it.
amazing to add that as a regular button in the queue, and that might even populate some queues that don't otherwise get love, because the button wouldn't have to be truly random. It would be like, okay, we've got, this queue that doesn't normally get a lot of players in it, and there's 3 players in it already. Let's kick this guy towards it, make a 4th, and then a 5th.
Yeah, and then if you
Huh.
do the roulette option, maybe you get a little bit extra reward on top of what you
Special
normally
reward or
get.
something like that, motivating players to play queues that wouldn't otherwise get played. These are really good ideas, Alan.
I have them from time to time.
Exactly, just like every once in a while, I'm actually happy.
What do we have next on
It's
the
never
line
actually
here,
been
Timber?
seen, but there have been rumors.
What do we have next on the line, Timber? Because
Our short discussion.
Of course, it's a short discussion. We have our short discussion. This is
Well,
the perfect
guys,
time to
you
lead
might
into
wanna-
the short
Might
discussion.
want to take a pee break now because things are gonna get weird.
Oh, please.
We have shuttles have been added to the Admiralty. So they have very limited stats. I mean, very limited, less than your tier 1 ships. However, they've got unique properties.
Fantastic.
For example, your Delta class shuttle has a plus 10 all stats to all ships that are not shuttles in any run that you do. The Mirror Runabout that was given away during the charity event is a minus 25% maintenance on all ships
on all
in
ships.
a mission.
And that's huge for these high value ships that have the long maintenance.
So
Yes, it is.
And what makes them so valuable on a run, especially if you can overcap your success rate with 2 ships, they have 5-minute cooldowns. So you can really pop these in, you get the value out of them, and you can pop them in about 5 to 10 minutes later.
What they've done is they basically made pass tokens irrelevant. You throw one of these on it, in lieu of a pass token, you just throw a shuttle on it, and even if it doesn't pass, big deal. There's no injuries or sick bay or anything like that with these guys.
Yeah, there are some unique bonuses I've heard of on some of these shuttles. I don't have the actual details in front of me, but these shuttles do have some pretty amazing bonuses to add.
Yeah,
Some of the Lobi ones have amazing stats.
Yeah, the Delta class was plus 10 all stats per any ship, not small craft. The Aeon time ship is also minus 25 maintenance per any ship. I only have 3 shuttles in here, so...
The Vodwar shuttle and the Voth one both have ignore all event modifiers. So that's great if you get one of them with plus 50 for all.
That cannot be ignored.
The Toughly Freighter gives you 2 times critical rating from all stats.
The only thing is if you use the ignore all event modifiers, if it gives you an increased reward or something, it ignores that.
Oh,
That's fair.
Just a PSA regarding the ignore stats or ignore whatever it is. It will actually ignore all the event stacks. So if you have something that's plus 50 engineering and 2 times crit, and you put in the ignore engineering in there, you will lose the 2 times crit as well.
Indeed, I did not know that. Thank you.
And
I've also noticed that it also ignores the reductions that are part of the event as well.
indeed, anything in the event window, which you'll have like 2 or 3 or 4 lines, whatever it is, if you put a ship in there that ignores something from the event window, it'll ignore everything from the event window. And that is working as intended. It's not a bug.
I just found out that my girlfriend is actually listening to the show, so hello.
Aw.
Hello to everybody's
Hello, Alan's
girlfriend.
girlfriend.
Yay.
Is she a hologram too, or is she real
No,
flesh and blood?
she's a real person.
Oh, so now we have holographic rights to marry real people. It's nice to live in a progressive world. Photons are people too.
Does she? So does she come visit you on the holodeck? Do you take your mobile emitter? I mean, how does this work?
Alan's fully
Comment on the
functional.
matter.
He is fully functional in all methods and skills.
And if he's not, a quick reprogram will, well, let's not get into that.
Fair
it's a family
enough.
show.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So
moving on.
Since when is this a family show?
Anyway,
Moving
Yes.
on.
we got
Our next big thing is our discussion that we've come up with for the mirror event, alt-friendly payouts. Now, what we've noticed with the summer and winter events is that if you do the full 20 days or 15 days or 30 days, whatever the hell it is, on one toon, on any other toon, it's typically just 1 day, and you have it unlocked. And what we're wondering is, why can we not also have this for things like the crystalline catastrophe or the mirror event that's going on now? Because, especially with like the mirror event, I mean, that's a 15-minute time-gated event. When you have that for alts, that adds up very quickly. Wouldn't that be something worth looking into when you have 30 alts to run the mirror event? Now, I understand the prize for the mirror event is pretty substantial. You know, you have 50k dilithium, 500 fleet marks, along with 250 marks of your choosing, and a weapon. Sometimes it's a duty officer, sometimes it's an item. And that could possibly be reduced maybe 25%, 30% on an alt, since it's only a one-time unlock. But I think that might be a little bit more friendly to people with alts, especially given the time that it does take for these things when they are time-gated. I mean, the first phase of MIA is 11 minutes. It is time-gated. And typically the last phase can take, anywhere from 2 to 7 minutes, depending on what kind of a team you have and how focused they are.
15 minutes is probably a good rough for how long it would take. Times 8 alts.
That can take some. That's just 2 hours right there. If someone that's crazy and you've collected 30 or 40 alts you want for this, 30 or 40 times 15 per.
It is not just the fact that it is that time investment; it's the fact that it's repetitive.
Yes.
If you want the rewards on all your tunes, you have to play it on all your tunes, day after day after day. I mean, I'm doing it on 14 tunes, and it's
the dilithium part.
It's a huge grind.
The dilithium part I can understand because that's a substantial amount of dilithium that you're getting, but
right.
The weapons, like the special weapon or whatever. Yeah, just make it create a special event store, and then run your thing once, and then use your thing to cash in and buy the weapon, or maybe also unlock the last event was the shotgun. So the shotgun could be up in there in the event, quote unquote, store in the reputation tab, and you can use your transdimensional thing to buy that or whatever the award was before that. I think it was the duty officer.
Yeah,
Duty.
it was
Right.
it was the
Yeah.
hazard emitters.
The
Mirror,
Yeah,
Mirror
that
Hakeem.
guy.
Mirror Hakeem.
Mirror Hakeem, yes, Mirror Hakeem with the
He lacked
enhanced hazard
the
emitters.
So-
mustache, and I was kind of disappointed.
So
Yeah.
what happens? So it could be done. So what happens is once you've done it once, 15 times on one of your alts, you have the ability to unlock this reputation store, kind of like how you are in the all the reputation tabs as it is.
Right.
I think that would be a really good way to do it. If you wanted the 50k dill, then you'd still be forced to do it 15 times per alt, because that's only fair. But yeah, that's my thoughts on it.
Yeah, I mean, I was talking to a friend of ours who's a bit of a ground pounder today, and he was saying that, I mean, he really feels like we get the all-friendly pricing for the ships for the winter and summer event. So, I mean, he's starting to feel like the ground pounders are being neglected, because if they want these, you know, the Zephyr Cochrane shotgun, the Agony rifle, you have to grind and grind and grind and grind for it, you know? And so, yeah. I think there needs to be a little more equity there with that system. I'm perfectly fine with separating the Dylan Marks reward from the special item reward and having the special item reward being the account unlock. And if you want the Dylan the Marks, you still have to grind. I am perfectly okay with that.
I think that would be a fair, I guess so. Be a fair compromise as far as that. Go for the reputation item,
Should
whatever
we move
that
on
is.
to the next topic?
Okay. Well, Olna, you know
Is
what?
that
Before we even do that,
the next
before
topic
before-
surrounding somebody gaining a little bit of popularity on Twitter?
really?
Well, it might be.
Who followed you?
Well, and this came as a surprise for some people out there. Y'all understand that I'm just coming off of what was a nightmare of a sickness. I'm coming off of a massive sinus infection mixed with the flu. I've just finally gotten over it. But during the middle of it, I happened to check my Twitter feed. I was just trying to keep up with it, trying to let people know I was still okay. You know, about dead, but I was okay. And I look, and I see that I have multiple notifications. So I'm looking through the notifications, and lo and behold, I look, and Anaxar Productions followed me on Twitter. And I had to look at it for a second. I was like, wait a minute, is this a fan? No, this is the actual Productions Twitter for Anaxar.
Axonar,
What's so
right?
special about you?
I don't know.
They must have done something
I
on
have no idea.
Axonar.
Axonar, Anaxar,
Yeah, and I mean, as an aside for anyone that hasn't
Axonari.
watched, the prelude to Axonar is probably one of the best produced anything I've ever seen for Trek.
I can't wait.
It's a beautiful, beautiful fan-made project.
Yeah.
Plus, it's got
Beautiful.
J.G. Hertzler in it.
Yes. And just to see that they had followed me, I'm going to have to message them and find out why, just so I can keep them around.
I'm curious.
I remember the day Star Trek Axonar favorited one of my my video things. I think I turned into like a 7-year-old girl and squealed a little bit.
No,
we-
you squealed like a 7-year-old girl when Denise Crosby followed you.
And then Aaron Eisenberg.
Yes.
Oh, don't forget Aaron Eisenberg, yeah.
So, yeah, you've had your own moments like I did. Well, I didn't squeal like a girl. I saw it and I was like, oh my, and I threw up.
Yeah, which reminds
So,
me, I think
a little different.
Star Trek Renegades is doing crowdfunding again for number 2, and I believe Aaron Eisenberg is actually, if they get the funds for it, I think he's going to be in that one also.
I've heard the
Ooh,
same thing.
Renegades, huh?
I would still like to see. He
I hope
mentioned he mentioned to me back in Vegas that he was going to try to get Max and Armin in on it, and Max just had a birthday, so Max Grodenchik, happy birthday. But it would be great to see the OG Ferengis in STO.
Oh, that reminds me.
Interesting.
Still have
That would be cool.
In 30 minutes Eastern time, it'll be Terry Farrell's birthday.
All right.
Actress who plays Jadzia Dax from DS9.
There's a really interesting article that came out just a couple days ago about basically goes into depth about her leaving at the end of season 6 and how she offered to come back as a recurring character and instead they wrote her out and killed her.
Yeah.
And that's what led to the bad feelings and the fact that she didn't allow for any of the Jadzia footage to be in the finale to DS9. The reason for that was because she was mad at the producers, which I don't disagree with. That was a total dickish thing to do.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Be cool if Cryptic was able to get her in for voiceover work and
That'd be amazing.
Bring back Jadzia Dax with this newest expansion that's kind of centered around DS9. I think that'd be bomb. Or
and time travel.
Well, it wouldn't have to be
big thing with time
It
travel.
wouldn't have to be Mirror Jadzia Dax. It could just be Mirror Jadzia.
Yeah, one or the other.
Well, it is kind of unclear
True.
what happened to Mirror Jadzia from the show, because the last time you saw Mirror Jadzia was Shattered Mirror in season 5. Then in season 7, when you revisit it, it's Ezri. And they never stated that Jadzia was dead or that she was a joined Trill.
Yeah. In fact, if I remember correctly, they heavily implied she wasn't joined.
So in that case, she could very well be alive, a part of the Resistance still, or she could be dead also in the Mirror Universe, but it's never implied, so it does leave them the option to bring her back in.
Yep, I love an open end.
Well, I mean, with the time travel mechanic they're bringing in with this temporal Cold War thing, they could easily simply go back to a time where she was there and she be your contact as Prime Universe Dax as well.
Does anyone remember the 5 minutes when we were explorers?
For a minute,
Yeah,
5 minutes.
I do.
That's 5 minutes is probably accurate throughout the whole season of TNG. Maybe they had 5 minutes of exploring. Really?
Well, I don't know. The whole episode, The Chase, is all exploration.
Pepperidge Farm remembers.
So we're going to be seeing a lot of interesting Star Trek stuff coming up in the next year or two.
Yep.
So what we have, Axanar is coming out.
We have to remember that I think that Cryptic only has 2-3 years left in the Trek license.
Something like that. Renegades. Renegades is going to be doing either a part 2 or a series. I heard mention of a series. There's Captain Pike.
Both, like a web series and a actual part 2.
Yeah. Captain Pike is still gathering money, I believe. And then, of course, you got the new movie coming out, the JJ Trek movie.
I would be amiss if I didn't mention Star Trek Continues in the mix, which is another completely amazing fan project.
Oh, right. I completely forgot about that one. Star Trek Continues.
About SCC. If you're a TOS fan, it feels exactly like TOS. Vic Mignogna nails Kirk.
He does.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
And my youngest daughter loves
There are
Continues.
some worries about the new Star Trek JJ Trek thing. It being not really Star Trek anymore, gone off the deep end.
They are trying to appeal to a larger audience than the older movies did, and so some of that's going to be natural, but I hope it's tempered by the fact that Simon Pegg is writing it in part, and he is a legitimate Star Trek fan.
Mm-hmm. I think I read an article somewhere where they compared it to Zero Dark 30. They actually quite compared. They said Star Trek Zero Dark 30. So we'll see where that goes. And of course, there is the new series starting up in 2000.
Yep, the CBS streaming service, which, since we've already got multiple continuities and things like that, does not necessarily have to affect STO at all.
Interesting. So, one thing I do want to point out, when we were just talking about the temporal mechanics and the temporal Cold War and all this shenanigans going on with with this season and the upcoming seasons of Star Trek Online, I think we actually called it on the bad guys this time, didn't we? We talked about this maybe a few episodes back.
I remember hearing about that. I didn't bring it up, but someone did.
Yeah, well, I think I specifically mentioned that we were going to be most probably fighting Tholians this time around, and it looks like we were spot on. So, pretty interesting how that works out. I think it's
Brush
going
off
to
your environmental suits and
polish the fingernails a little
Yep.
bit. Oh, man, that's bright. Oof, okay. And next up, we're going to be talking about Season 11 and torpedoes.
we're gonna be here a while, folks.
No, we not.
Pack a
It
lunch.
appears that Odin's
Yes.
mic is not currently working, so
Well, no,
He's the one who actually
everybody
wanted to
out there
talk
can
about
hear me,
that.
so it's okay. That's fine. That's all
What
that
a
matters.
shame.
Oh, what a shame yourself.
He said it was going to be a quick conversation,
He did.
but since
Yeah,
he's
someone accidentally
tired
muted Marshall. Sure, it was an accident.
yeah.
Hey, tell your friends.
Okay.
They say me
Did
shitty.
someone mute him?
he asked to be muted and unmuted, but it wouldn't even let me mute him.
Beam down
Folks,
to
give me a
Planet
second
Surprise
here. I'm going to redo this page here.
Yeah,
real
I
quick.
can't even mute him, unmute him.
Oh,
Yeah,
there,
he's going to reload.
there he is.
Mic check 1, mic check 2.
Oh no.
Oh,
We
yeah.
can hear you.
Duck
I
for
know.
cover. Get your kinetic shields out. You're gonna need them.
Uh-oh.
Odin, that is
Polarize
about
your
to
halls.
penetrate you.
Oh, the penetration is gonna be severe. Duck
Oh,
for cover.
no.
You all
Emergency
were just
power to
waiting for
shields.
that, weren't you?
Odin.
I'm not waiting for it. It's pretty much constantly up.
Look. All I have to say is this, and I've told people I make this quick, but I keep it all on point. For too damn long, kinetics have suffered, and they still continue to suffer to this day. But Season 11 is a new dawn for the kinetic community.
Gabriel Bell.
Season 11 is a new dawn for the kinetic community. We have a traits system here that works for side torp captains, for torp boats, for people who want to get on the ground and use a torpedo. You get on the ground and use a torpedo, for crying out loud.
Amen, brother.
Season 11 is a new dawn for the kinetic community. Now,
All 12 of them.
no.
Praise Odin.
No, there's more than 12. There is more than 12, and you damn well know it. Much more than 12. Funny thing happened, though. Snipey was making a joke in the DPS channels about, how many people actually use torps. So I made a joke impromptu survey, posted in both the art forums and Reddit. And the amount of people that responded to it was just eye-opening for me. It was just kind of like a literally off-the-cuff 30 seconds of, whatever little funny answers there, just to kind of counter-troll Snipey. And people I have never seen before on the forums came out and answered this. And I was like, wow, I never knew. I just never knew there were this many people out there who actually had an interest in playing it and wanted to be able to enjoy it. You may now talk.
Well, as I responded there, as a casual player, I use torps on my cannon builds.
times,
Casual
that's all I
player
gotta
SOP.
say. Well, technically, he is a
Liar!
casual player.
Hey, I have a recording of him saying he's an elitist DPSer, so I counter that.
Can I
Yeah,
even
blackmail.
do some Avery Brooks on this one here? Mr. Worf, fire the torpedoes. I said, Mr. Worf, fire the torpedoes. Nah, forget it. Anyway.
Now, first you have to tell Worf no. Then you have to tell him how to fire the torpedo.
No.
First you have to tell Worf no.
There's so much bass rumbling whenever those two talk in the same scene. It's just crazy. But anyway, back to the point on here. There are a lot of good things going on right now with fixes. Actual bona fide fixes. Upgrade your torps. Except for the Romulan Hyperplasma one and any of the tricobalt or tricobalt-based torpedoes. Upgrade the rest of them. You should have fun. 2. The quantum phase torpedo and chemosite-laced weaponry will be fixed to address the performance issues as well as maintain their expected damage / DPS depending on how you use them. So that it's not going to get a nerf, it's actually going to get a good balanced pass for performance issues as well as power issues. So if you expected to have a drain on this cluster of enemies, you're still going to have a drain on this cluster of enemies. You're just going to have to change your gameplay slightly. But you should not lose your overall performance. This is a good time, mind you, to thank Cryptic Rock for all the work that he's putting into making sure that torpedoes are working fine. And when he has the majority of the issues fixed, please encourage him to work on mines. Do something with them. There's a lot of people out there on the forums who have great ideas that are not making them overpowered, but actually will make them useful in today's STFs. Everything's going to be AoE, fast-paced, things happen literally in an instant. We're going to have to make this weapon type viable in the game. So, with what's happening right now, I actually feel encouraged to say, yes, now is a great time to be a member of the Kinetic community. Come on down. Even Ryan, STO, and Felician are members of the Kinetic community. They have the Kinetic card. They have a membership number. We still have to send them kits. Sorry, guys. There's a back order of them. There are a lot of people who are ahead of you, so. But you're going to get your kits in the mail. Now, for people who've been asking questions about the quantum phase and how it works, wait until the changes come live to Tribble. Then we're going to do a reassessment and we'll take care of it. For the people who've been complaining about Neutronic and Chemosite and Quantum Phase lagging them out, there has been a workaround to help alleviate what the combat log rights are doing, and I posted on a previous video that was a audio test, but it does provide you instructions as well as the links on where to get the software and what commands you need to run to be able to dump your log into a RAM drive. Do it, run it, watch your game client performance increase. You won't get bogged down too much, if at all, with what the client is trying to do an output to the combat log. So you should see a good performance increase overall anyway. Point 3, the Terran Rep torpedo. It's a photon. It's good. It's okay for photon damage until you start dropping your target's hull below 50%. Then that mofo starts to shine. Forget the withering radiation. You know, that really doesn't come into play until you have a target that lives longer than 8 to 10 seconds. Then you start seeing some sort of significant damage source from it. But the real gem of this torpedo is bring your target below 50% and then just unleash all sorts of holy Hades upon that thing. That torp kicks butt. Period. Season 11 is a new dawn for the Kinetic community. I'm done.
Did you say
This has been a public service announcement.
Don't forget to
It's been a
upgrade your
long
AP
time since I've
torps.
seen Marshall so excited.
I know, right?
Hey, look, they're trying something here. They're doing a good job with it. That I'm going to applaud them for doing a good job of it. If there are bugs along the way, that's fine. You know what? We'll handle it. If there's an intentional screw up somewhere, they're saying, we don't care because it's too hard, we'll call them out on it. And we have people now. What started out as a joke became a thing. We have people now in the Kinetic community that will
Top
help.
men.
With the Gunship Guild out there, Cannons, you have
Yes.
a champion in the Chief of Cheesy Tactics. You have a champion.
Yeah, we've got lots of sects now that are really cool. Like we got the tanks, you got the agronauts.
We do. We do. And the Agronauts, for people who really don't get it, that tanking isn't a thing in here, it's
I'm honored
real.
to be an honorary agronaut because there's literally no group big enough for me. I mean, there's like 3 of us, so.
Well,
Mm-hmm.
you, Mikey, you and Tankia, ironically,
Yeah, thank you. I
Tankia,
know now.
yes, now. You, Tankia, this guy named Lewis are kind of like the chief medic corps going around, and I think there's going to be more people joining you very soon
I would
here.
still like to see more people try it because it's more rewarding than you would think. I mean, the moments I live for is catching someone at 2% hull.
And so long as you don't screw around with a GDF, you're good.
Yeah, that's something to look out for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
But I'm with you
Here's
there.
the problem, though. Here's the problem that I see is with the constant nerfing of advanced Qs, it's rendering tanks and healers more irrelevant.
Right, which is why many of us push to run high elite because that's the last thing that we've got left that gives challenge to support builds.
When Delta Rising came out and the
Very
Qs,
true.
the advanced Qs were as tough as they were, I suggested that people start looking into tanks and healers that they might be required. Well, maybe not tanks so much, but healers definitely, and crowd control. And I was basically shot down because
No,
people
but
wanted
you're
the
ahead of the
easier.
curve.
Sorry, I
Well,
didn't catch that.
go on,
But
Mikey.
you were ahead of the curve there because stuff did get harder.
Well, yeah, I mean, and that's what you get for being a damn visionary that knows what they're talking about. You're ahead of the curve, and some people will call you crazy for it. But if you could show them and demonstrate it, hey, we're ahead of the curve, and here's the reason why, and this is what we're talking about, you're not crazy. You have the evidence before you, and you could say this is what we expect to see, and this is what we're going to do in response to what we expect to see. And for a question that was
Mm-hmm.
out there in the chat about Neutronic and the Terran Ordnance set being like the quote unquote new meta for Torps, this is something I actually wanted to say that suddenly went from to wow. Is the amount of build variety that you can get using kinetics. You could be a pure kinetic boat, you could be, a Torp Psi, you can use it as a supplemental weapon, you can go straight cannon as seen on TV. You could build in multiple different ways and use multiple different weapons. You like transphasics, you want to have some shield pin, but right now transphasic damage is so bloody weak. If you're doing anything on any of the harder advanced SDFs or higher, it's not worth it. On
There
normal,
really is.
and some of them are great. Go on, Mike.
There really is some love for the kinetics that I can see in STO. Because we're getting stuff like the ferrofluid console and new traits and things like the T4 Terran rep traits are great for torpedo users. And so I'm liking to see that we're getting. It's not even a niche anymore, Marshall. I'm not seeing it as a niche anymore. I'm seeing it more as the developers pushing the meta towards inclusion, like everyone should run torpedoes, or almost everyone. So it's moving away from the all energy weapons meta. At least it's an attempt to.
Well, the command was the first attempt to do that, and we saw that there with the tier 1 command tree, and it didn't work because people were like, you gotta throw a torp on here in order to be able to make this thing useful. Forget it, it's not worth it because it would be a loss of DPS for them.
It wasn't juicy enough, but now they're throwing more carrots at it.
Well, it's not just more carrots, they're actually putting substantial weapons in the game now with useful procs. Gravimetric still needs to be fixed, obviously, for the part gen coefficient to affect its grav well proc. But when you have stuff like quantum phase and neutronic working with flow caps, even though they're both still in a buggy state, it still
let
works.
you throw a gravel without slotting grav well. I mean,
exactly.
What more can you say about that?
Exactly. You have the particle emission plasma torpedo that works beautifully with part gen builds.
And it also works really well with the science consoles, the embassy consoles. It's one of the very few things they boost.
Yes, that's true. Not just with the embassy consoles, but with the Krenum consoles as well. So you have a lot of flexibility there in that type of build. And then you have, with the Crenum consoles, you can use flow part gens to be able to run a combination of torps. So there is
I
no
often,
one great torp combo anymore. You want to do a
No.
full drain, quantum phase, neutronic, flow cap up to, however high you want to go, and just drain the hell out of everything and nuke it. You want to do a
I
full.
often see comparative MMO discussions talk about how STO is light on mechanics and not deep. I would probably point them towards discussions like these.
Mm-hmm. And for the folks who are asking what will happen after the chemo gets fixed, and truly is a fix, it for the most part it's already been fixed now. If you're worrying about how they're going to deal with the proc situation with it, it's still going to be good. It's not going to be what the hell just happened to my entire screen. It froze for 5 seconds and all these numbers decide to just come spilling out into my client, but it's still going to be good. It's not going to be 300 million good, but it's still going to be good.
What will happen is life in the game will move on and we'll find something else. It's about as simple as that. It's a very, even with its, working fully as intended, only a very specific amount of builds can maximize its usefulness, and torpedoes happen to be one of them. But it's just one of those things, even without Chemosite, someone like Odin can still maximize his numbers. So, with or without it, a lot of us we're just gonna move on, and then guaranteed 3 months from now, something else will come out that'll do the same thing, and it'll boost numbers again, and we'll just, rinse and repeat, just like we have with Chemosite and the plasma consoles.
And as what Ain said, SOB will always find more cheese to dump on a ship.
Exactly.
Yes, exactly.
I am afraid that I know of no cheese.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Just a quick response to a question that popped up in chat. A Fayette, even without chemo, can easily pull 100k with beam arrays. Very easily.
Why would you want to put beams on a Fayette?
Why
Beams
would
on
you
a
not?
Fayette.
Why would you
Oh
not?
no, you're gonna trigger out.
Really? Beams
The
on a
Fayette can do very, very
You're-
well. The Fayette
Beams on a
is.
Fayette.
The Fayette can do 150.
Beams
Yeah, easily.
on a Fayette.
Why not?
Yeah, why not?
You just broke
Be-
Odin.
It makes
Again.
it makes it easier to line up the torps.
Somebody please cue all the face palms
Wait.
from all of Trek lore. All of them at once.
No. Here's the thing, Odin.
This
Well-
is the Troy
Escort
faithful of
ships.
Guardian 3.
The escort ships have always been the best ships to put beams on. Always. They've always been better than cruisers and science ships.
That's
for
why beam
arrays.
escorts is a thing.
Exactly. That's exactly why
That's
beam
why the
escorts
term
are a thing.
exists. Right.
There's something
It's-
wrong with that. There's
No,
something
it's-
fundamentally
There's something wrong
with
with that, but it's so good.
It's
good
a
and
lot
it's
of fun.
wrong. It's
It's absolutely crazy fun. I mean, just put beams on a speed build Corvette and have fun. Go nuts with it. It is a hoot.
Well,
it really is a lot of
funny
fun.
that you mentioned that though,
just orbit some of
because
the it's great.
because I put dual beam banks on my Phantom, and all of them had over on it, and I've stuffed Omnis with over on it on the rear. And yeah, I had my overboat going on, and it drove people crazy, especially Khan. It drove him nuts. That here I am with this overbuild, and just zapping my way up TPS charts with it.
I had an overbuild. It was fun, but I swapped them all out for pen beams.
Nah, forget pen. Over is much more fun.
Over is more fun. Pen does more damage.
Right.
Question: Are you running FA with that on that build?
Yes, I am actually, and I know
Yes.
the
On my
last
build?
4 seconds is if over procs during the last 4 seconds of fall, it'll fire. If it's on the first 4, forget it.
Yeah.
First 6.
First 6, sorry, first 6. Last 4, you're good. First 6, no. But I do have a video of watching all my overbeams proc after fall is over, and you get to see
Oh,
what the heck
that's
happens.
glorious.
It's sweet. It's just a
At
chainsaw.
exactly the same time. It's awesome.
And especially with the interaction BO has with some of the ship traits.
I think they killed Cryptic killed one of them by intent, but the others are still there.
I think some are still working.
Yes.
I remember reading at least one of the interactions is broken.
And the shield pen doffs do work with over, so public service announcement.
That is cheese, okay?
That is the overdoffs.
That's
are fantastic.
That's RSP plus hypercap shields level of cheese.
That's
No.
not cheese. That's working as intended.
Oh,
Stipe is going to put a lot of effort towards getting that fixed.
It's working as intended.
Yes, it may be, but it kills him in PvP.
SOB, did you kill him with it in PvP?
QQ.
I think he
Here's-
did.
I
something you
know,
might
right?
not know.
We have a question here.
Um,
Does over proc the Yamato trait? It should, shouldn't it? Yeah, it wasn't listed as one
I
of
thought
those
that's
things
one of
that
the
wouldn't
ones that
proc.
it did,
that
though. I thought
excluded
that's one of
from.
the Dreadnought
Yeah.
trait.
Yes,
Yeah,
it
I think it
does.
does.
It does.
Interesting.
That's glorious.
Now here's something you might not know.
Very
Do you know the the beam overload DOFs are team wide?
What?
What?
Really?
You did not know this. If you're on the
No,
team,
this doesn't make sense.
if one person on that team is running those DOFs and fires off a beam overload and it procs, everyone on the team will get the pen.
Oh, that's sick.
That's
Yes.
lovely.
Because I've seen
Oh,
mine
that
go
is-
on my overbeams and they proc up. So you have the full 110%.
No, it doesn't stack that way.
Or just straight 100% and that's it?
It's 35%, I believe.
Right.
Pen.
We
Yeah.
kill so much cheese on the show that California and Wisconsin should come after us.
I know, right?
SOB, break out that cheese grater. You're going to be doing a lot of DPS.
Yeah, not a lot of PvE people know that. That's more of a PvP thing for the DOFs, how they interact. But yeah,
that's great for like Hive Elite though.
Oh, that's stupidly overpowered for Hive Elite. Do you understand what this means? It means, wow, okay. Yeah, for one, cap and hold is when people actually start playing that again. Cryptic will deal with that again. Right? When people start playing cap and hold and you have all those turtles that are there, somebody runs a beam overload build with overbeams and they start zapping at that freaking turtle. And at least 2 of them proc. I'm launching high yields out the wazoo at that target and it's going to blow up. Forget Hive. Hive is just going to be stupidly OP now.
That's an interesting interaction. It can't be WAI.
No, it's working.
It is. That is how, because it's the proc is applied to your target.
So I mean, it's not that it applies team wide, but it has an effect that could be felt across the team. Is probably a good way to say it.
Yes.
So it works more like attack pattern beta, where
Yeah.
your target gets debuff that benefits everyone on the team.
Interesting. So is this gonna kick off another round of nannying QQing or what?
I don't know.
I knew that would make Cav laugh.
Oh no.
Yep.
Oh no. We had a shot fired, folks. We're
Snappy's
trying to
It
probably
was like a
raging
big
at the
shot
moment.
or anything. I'm just saying, like, people that complain about nannies should probably, get over themselves.
All right, so we had a question out here real quick. We're going to answer this here. Overwhelming Force, that trait, if you use beams and they fire beam overload, from whatever source the beam overload comes from, it counts. The target receives a charged particle burst, not the actual photonic shockwave. It's a charged particle burst that hits the target. If you use torpedoes, that's the photonic shockwave. Just saying. Anyway, now that we're done with the light version of the torpedo talk, do we have any closing remarks from any of our panel here before we head out?
Folks, that was the short version.
That was the short version.
It was relatively short. The show was only 2 hours this week.
Exactly.
So, I'm curious, did any of you get any nice upgrades over the upgrade weekend?
Yep, upgraded my CC.
I did. I managed to upgrade a full set of 5 damage 3 pen dual beam banks for one of my tombs. It was
whatever's in front of you is
awesome.
going to be really unhappy.
Yeah.
Well, myself, I went and epicked out a few of my ground weapons, AP crit D4s, so those can help me fighting other sellers on the exchange.
Yes, I had a lot of fun this weekend. I upgraded my Frost Mage all the way up to level 100.
God damn you.
Wrong
man.
game.
I upgraded my immune system.
And how much
to like
lithium did
5
that cost you?
weekend.
I played Mass Effect 3, so...
Fallout 4, that is all.
Everybody around there, you had fun though. But you all had fun in the game though.
Yeah, but I mean, the reason I'm here is because I love STO more than most things, so.
All right.
It's a cycle, basically. At some points, you get a little bit burnt out on the game and want to look at different.
Play something else.
Yeah.
You know.
And I've done this before. I've taken kind of light breaks from STO before, where I would like log in once a day and do a couple of things.
You took a pretty good break for a few months, actually. Sometime after I got to know you. Then you came back, and you've never really left since then. You've taken quick breaks, but you've never really left like you left that one time.
I think a lot of us. Go on.
No, I was just gonna say, it was a few months back. I took like a month off or so. I was maybe 6-7 months ago. I took like a month and a half off. I was just logging in once a day, a few minutes, do a couple of dailies, flip the dill, and log back out.
Well, it was the kind of thing where you popped up on TeamSpeak one day, and I was surprised. Like, holy shit, it's Jenna.
Yeah. Well, like I said, it goes in cycles. You need to, if you get burnt out or frustrated, you need to move on to something else and try something different.
And sometimes we've got personal issues that take us out of the game and things like that as well. And we all got to remember that. But I mean, the great thing about the community is we're always here.
And the people will always be around to welcome you back.
And I always tend to come back anyways.
Yes. All right, so everybody here, we're good with the show. Thank you all for listening. To our French listeners out there, Bonne nuit. Have a good night. We'll see you out there. Everybody else, relax.
Thanks
and
for
be
listening.
good to each other.
Vive la France.
Vive la France.
Thanks for listening, folks.